Okay, today we're going skin deep into the world of cosmetics. You've seen the words everywhere, right? On serums, creams, lotions, lightening and brightening. They sound kind of the same, and honestly, they're often used like they are the same, but they're not. They mean very different things and they work in completely different ways. So let's get into it.
So let me just ask you straight up, do you really know the difference between skin brightening and skin lightening? If you're feeling a little fuzzy on the details, you are definitely not alone. The marketing around this stuff can be super confusing, but figuring out the distinction, well, it's absolutely crucial, not just for the results you want, but way more importantly, for your health.
All right, here it is, the core difference. Skin brightening, that's all about restoring your skin's vibrancy. Think of it like turning up the dimmer switch on your skin's natural glow, It's about tackling dullness and uneven texture. But skin lightening, which is also called whitening, that's a whole different ballgame. It's an actual biological process. It's about actively reducing the amount of melanin, that's the pigment that gives your skin its color, to make your overall skin tone lighter. So one is about radiance, the other is about pigment reduction. It seems simple, but that difference is everything.
Now, to really wrap our heads around how these products work, we need to do a super quick dive into the science of how your skin gets its color in the first place. It all boils down to a natural process that's happening inside your cells literally right now. So, this might look a little complicated, but this is basically the assembly line for melanin in your skin. The whole process is called melanogenesis. But here's the crazy part. Almost this entire pathway, from start to finish, is kicked off and controlled by one single, super important enzyme. And that enzyme is called tyrosinase. Honestly, the best way to think of it is as the master switch in your skin's pigment factory. When things like sun exposure come along and flip this switch to on, the factory just starts churning out melanin. So the key takeaway is this. If you can control that switch, you can control pigment production. And that is exactly what skin lightening products are designed to do. And why does this all matter? Well, because sometimes that pigment factory goes into overdrive, and that can lead to what we call hyperpigmentation. Now, this can happen to literally anyone, but it's often more common and, frankly, more visible in people with darker skin tones. We're talking types 3 through 6 on this Fitzpatrick scale here. And that's just because their pigment-producing cells are naturally more active to begin with. So we have these products out there designed to control that master switch, tyrosinase. Makes sense. But this is where our conversation takes a much, much darker turn. Because that quest for an even skin tone can sometimes become genuinely dangerous. Here's the problem. While plenty of ingredients can safely turn down that tyrosinase switch, some of the most powerful chemicals used to get the job done come with some truly severe health risks. And just look at this table. We are not talking about a minor rash here. We see ingredients like mercury, which was used in skin whiteners for a long time, linked to neuropsychiatric and kidney toxicity. Then there's hydroquinone, a really potent inhibitor that's linked to nerve damage. And corticosteroids? When they're misused, they can cause systemic problems like Cushing syndrome and diabetes. These are not just skin-deep issues. In fact, this is so serious, the World Health Organization doesn't mince words about it at all. They've labeled unsafe skin bleaching, especially when it's done without any medical supervision, a full-blown public health crisis. That is a massive statement, and it really just highlights the global scale of this problem. But this isn't just a story about doom and gloom. The risks are well known, and the good news is regulators are finally starting to step in. So let's take a look at the global response that's actually happening right now. And this is all happening as we speak. This timeline shows some key deadlines coming up from the European Union, which, let's be honest, often sets the global standard for cosmetic safety. You can see bans and new restrictions coming into effect over just the next few years, from everything from preservatives like triclosan to well-known lightening agents like kojic acid and arbutin. Even certain types of vitamin A are on the list. The entire industry is being forced to change. Okay, so with all of this information, the science, the risks, the new regulations, what does this all mean for you? How can you walk down that beauty aisle and feel safe? Let's break down a few things you can actually do.
All right, here are your key takeaways, your personal action plan. First, maybe start looking for products focused on brightening, using safer, well-researched ingredients like vitamin C and niacinamide. They give you that radiance without all the risky biological stuff. Second, and this is a big one, no matter what you use, always do a patch test first on a little patch of skin to see how you react. Third, become a label detective. You have to read the ingredients list carefully. And finally, and this is probably the most important tip of all, if you have real concerns about pigmentation, the safest, most effective thing you can do is talk to a board-certified dermatologist, period.
Which really leaves us with one last big question to think about. We've seen that regulators are stepping in, for sure. But in a global industry that moves at the speed of a TikTok trend, who's really responsible for our safety? Is it the regulators? Is it the brands? Or is it us, the people buying the products? Who holds the ultimate power to make sure what we put on our skin is safe? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.